I've never had a Friday like the one I had a week ago. It started at 6:30 p.m. I was waiting in the parking lot of a supermarket to drive my car back to work to celebrate the company's anniversary. The car door opened. 3 of my co-workers, Anna, Victoria, and Salomia, came back with their purchases. "Oksana, we can go," Victoria told me. She had forgotten again that my name was Zoriana, although we had been working together for several years. Yes, I spent all my working hours in a small office, answering clients' calls, however. Is that really why I'm so invisible? I didn't correct her. At least she made an effort to recall my name. Most people just pretend I don't exist, and when they need to talk to me, they do it without saying my name. They don't remember anyway. Salomia corrected her. Salomia is probably my one and only friend at this job. Victoria got Salomia involved in organizing the party, and Salomia asked me to accompany them. "Victoria, you only bought 3 bottles of wine. That won't be enough," said Anna. "There's a store by the office. We'll get more if we need it," Victoria answered. She seemed to be the only one among us who wanted to party, and she was dressed up. And also, those snow-white shoes. When we got to our business center, we had to wait 5 minutes for an elevator. It was awfully slow to respond to a call. They have been promising to adjust it for a week now. The elevator took us up to the 10th floor. The whole floor belonged to our finance company. That's where we met our director. He smiles a lot, as if to forget those moments when he raises his voice telling us anything that comes to his mind. Everyone disliked him. Next to the elevator in the middle of the hallway, there is the door of the office that had been turned into a party room that day. 20 employees were waiting there. Most of them did not manage to find a valid reason to miss the event. I didn't have any coworkers who wanted me to sit beside them, so I chose the seat next to Salomia. An hour later, at exactly 8 o'clock in the evening, our director got up, wished everyone to have a good time, and left the room, allowing us to relax tonight. The table got more cheerful right away. The clock hands ran forward fast. However, the celebration got interrupted. A horrified Anna appeared in the room saying, Our director, I think he's dead." One of the co-workers called an ambulance. The rest of us headed for the director's office. I was among them. We all walked down the long hallway to the right side of the building. The office door was open and a broken plate of food was nearby. Anna found the director when she decided to fetch him some snacks from our table. The 3 co-workers and I decided to step into the office. The director was sitting in his chair. There was a knife stuck in his chest. Everyone was shocked. No one dared to do what was necessary. And I took on that role, walking up to the director, touching his neck, checking his pulse. "He's dead," I said. It was 8:57 p.m. I called the police and immediately started examining the crime scene. Looks like he was sitting quietly in the chair at the time of the murder. Like he knew the murderer and didn't expect that. Documents from his desk were scattered under the chair, along with his favorite ink pen. It fell down, leaving droplets of ink on the carpet. The police arrived, and the chief investigator introduced himself as Vyacheslav. He took our testimonies, but did not let anyone go. Everyone waited in the party room. We were kept around for a long time. Like it is more complicated than it seemed. I knew the director, my co-workers, and the place well. I knew I could see something that might shed some light on the crime scene. So I went out into the corridor, walked a few meters, and heard Vyacheslav's voice from the office nearby. I took off my shoes so that they wouldn't hear the clatter of heels and tiptoed closer to the door. Vyacheslav was talking to his partner. It was clear from their conversation that no prints were found on the knife. They had been wiped off, or the murderer used gloves. The guard at the entrance did not let anyone in or out of the building. Now, the killer is a co-worker, and the suspects were 3, Victoria, Anton, and Salomia. All of them were leaving the party room at approximately the time of the director's death. I started to remember what the suspects were doing when the director left the room. Salomia didn't feel like partying, so she left to finish her work. Victoria left just for a moment to fetch a broom and dustpan from the back room to clean up the broken wine bottle. Anton went out to the store to get more wine. I heard that Vyacheslav started moving towards the office door, and I quickly returned to the party room and put on my shoes there. Vyacheslav entered the room right after me. He was eager to find out who the murderer was as soon as possible. He thought that talking to everyone once again might help him. He first focused on the murder motive Anton might have had. The director had promised Anton a promotion for a long time, but eventually promoted Victoria. During the party, we ran out of alcohol, and Anton went to the store to buy some more. But the store is 5 minutes away from our business center, and Anton was away for about 40 minutes. That really raised certain questions. Next, the investigator turned his attention to Victoria because he had learned that she had been the director's affair. I heard these rumors, but according to them, they broke up their relationship about 2 months ago. Vyacheslav said, "You left the party room just at the time close to the time of the victim's death. Although your absence lasted about 4 minutes, as everyone claims, that's still enough time to kill." Anna, our office manager, interrupted the investigator, noting that Victoria, after breaking a bottle of wine, took the key from her and went to get a broom and dustpan from the back room. Only the director, with the original key, and Anna, with the copy, had access to the back room. Victoria wouldn't have had time to enter the back room if she was the killer. The back room was at the left end of our long hallway, while the director's office was at the right end. And Anna was right. Victoria couldn't have gotten to both places in such a short period of time. Next, the investigator addressed Salomia. "You left the party right after the director, and your co-workers saw you when everyone was already examining the victim's body." I stood up and said, "Wait, she told me she was going to work. This was not a valid alibi for the investigator." "If I think about it, the director repeatedly threatened to fire Salomia," Anton said. "I remember the same thing," added someone else. These words gave the investigator a motive for Salomia, which he had not had until this moment. Vyacheslav left the office with a promise to be back. Things took the wrong direction. I went out and ran into Salomia's office. Her desk was covered with papers. During our party, she told me that she needed to sign the papers I had left for her before our shopping trip. I started looking through them, and most of them were checked and signed. That's what she spent 45 minutes doing. I went out into the hallway. Anton came out of the restroom. I took this chance to talk to him one-on-one. When we ran out of alcohol and Victoria noticed we needed more, he volunteered to go to the store. There was nothing unusual about that. When we needed to get something from the store, he or other men among the staff would take on that role. And he, apart from the director, was the only man at the party tonight. But what is disconcerting about his alibi is that he says that when he returned from the store to the business center, he waited for the elevator for about 8 minutes, which no one can verify. And that was right around the time of the murder. Once our conversation was over, I went down to the first floor. All but the 10th floor were no longer lit. Neither was the lobby. I approached the security guard and watched the video from the camera at the entrance to the building. It shows Anton entering the building 3 minutes before the approximate murder time. The camera in the lobby, the only one in the building, only captured the corridor, but not the elevator around the corner where Anton was waiting for 8 minutes, which the camera does not capture. At this point, I got a call from Salomia saying that they found gloves with the director's blood in Anton's drawer. I didn't know what to say. I thought, is Anton really a murderer? I hung up the phone and just watched the live video from the camera in the lobby. At that moment on the camera, a policeman ran out from behind the corner of the corridor where the elevator was. I looked up. The policeman was already walking in front of me. I thought for a moment about what I had just seen, and I asked the guard to rewind the tape back 1 minute. And there it is. As the elevator opened and the policeman stepped out, the camera caught the light from the open elevator, barely illuminating the edge of the lobby. The guard and I watched the video with Anton again. Here he passes through the lobby, turns the corner, walks to the elevator, and disappears from the camera's gaze. The first minute had passed, the second, the 5th, and then, at the 9th minute, the light from the elevator illuminates the lobby. He's not a murderer. For him to be a murderer, the elevator had to open in the 1st minute, but not the 9th. I went back to the 10th floor. There was a mess up there. I immediately ran into the room not far from the director's office where Anton and Victoria worked. By the desks, each employee had his or her own nightstand, which they kept locked with a key. Financial documents were kept there, and the director had strictly ordered to lock it at the end of the working day. But now Victoria and Anton's drawers were open. They had consented to a search. There was a noise in the hallway. Anton was handcuffed. "I didn't do it!" he shouted. I rushed to look at Anton's desk, his drawer. Next, I checked Victoria's desk, her nearly empty drawer, Anton's desk again, and his paper-filled drawer. Then I looked at the white shoes stacked neatly under Victoria's desk. Wait! Shoes! I thought. Those were the shoes Victoria was wearing today, and they weren't as white as they were in my car. They now had black stains all over them. The noise in the hallway increased. I didn't have any more time. I ran out into the hallway and in front of everyone said loudly, "Victoria's a murderer!" Everyone got quiet. They looked at me, as if anyone should have said that but me. However, I went on and revealed that it was a murder planned by Victoria. It all started when she provoked a situation where someone would have to go out to get alcohol, which she didn't get herself, to put that person up to it. And it was Anton who got set up. As he left the room, Victoria smashed a bottle of wine in front of us, so everyone could see why, where, and how long she'd be out and create an alibi for herself. But she actually went to the director's office. And after killing him, on her way back, she went into the office with her and Anton's desks. She dropped bloody gloves into his drawer and took out of hers a small broom and dustpan, which she had taken there from the back room beforehand. She had been the director's affair for a long time and knew what he kept and where. It wasn't a big deal for her to duplicate any of the keys, both to the back room and to our drawers. "What the hell are your fantasies, Oksana?" Victoria said in panic. "That's not my name," I replied, and proceeded to recount the evidence. Her white shoes, in which she had come to the party, were the evidence. The shoes were stained with ink from the director's pen, from falling to the floor when Victoria committed the murder. Victoria was never able to completely clean them up, so she didn't risk walking in them in front of the investigators. So, while the police were on their way, she took off her ink-stained shoes and left them neatly, as if there was nothing to hide, under her desk. She changed into the spare shoes she kept in the office. Victoria was filled with despair, but realizing that there was no getting out of it, she pulled the keys attached to a metal ring out of her pocket and said, "These are copies of the office keys. It was just as you said. He deserved it. He had no heart. Promised me for so long that he'd divorce his wife, with whom he no longer lived together. But in the end, he made up with her and threw me away. And I loved him," she added. "Yet she took his life. You don't do that to someone you really love." The ink pen was a gift to the director from Victoria, and now it would make her face the law as if it had refused to be a symbol of her love from that moment on. Anton was immediately released, and Victoria was detained. However, everyone's attention was drawn to me. Everyone was surprised, delighted, and concerned that they hadn't noticed me until now. They wanted to talk to me, to ask me questions, and I started the conversation by saying, "In case someone doesn't remember it, my name is Zoriana."